and requirements established by this law for all medical cannabis activities within the reservation and those lands and properties subsequently acquired by the Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate. The composition: the commission shall consist of 3 Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate tribal members meeting the qualifications and 2 ex officio tribal council members. The tribal council shall appoint commissioners, and the ex officio. Minimum qualifications for the commission require that each commissioner must demonstrate experience and knowledge in government affairs, agriculture, cannabis, business or law, or tribal government regulatory experience, and have an understanding of applicable laws regarding cannabis and the cannabis industry. Must also have completed an approved background check conducted prior to voting on any matters, and they shall have not been convicted of a felony relating to a controlled substance under tribal, state, or federal law. B, powers and duties of the commission. The commission has those functions, powers, and duties specified in the Medical Cannabis Code and all others that may be necessary to enable the commission to exercise its powers and carry out its duties, including those specifically referenced or described in these regulations. Independent authority. The commission will be independent of and act independently and autonomously from the tribal council in all matters within its purview. No prior or subsequent review by the tribal council of any actions of the commission is required or permitted except as otherwise explicitly provided in the Medical Cannabis Code or the tribe's governing document. The rulemaking authority. The commission shall have authority consistent with 82040405 of the Medical Cannabis Code related to the initial adoption of these regulations. E, authority to amend regulations adopted to 82040405 of the Medical Cannabis Code may be amended by a majority vote of the tribal council at any time after the initial adoption of these regulations. The Oyate reserves the right to amend these regulations at any time for any reason. Nothing in these regulations shall be construed to limit the Oyate's legislative or regulatory authority to enact or promulgate legal requirements that apply to all licenses. This provision applies to all licenses, vendors, commercial entities without regard to when they receive a license or entered into an agreement with the Oyate or a licensee. Might as well. And then the last part, you can do that one. Okay. Medical Cannabis Registry. The Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate Medical Cannabis Program shall create a medical cannabis registry and issue medical cannabis cards to individuals based upon the following: if they A, completed the SWO Medical Cannabis Program application. B, if they're 18 years or older. C, under 18 years of age shall provide a parent or guardian approval form. D, any current state-issued medical cannabis card. E, any Native American tribal government-issued medical cannabis card, and pay the SWO MCP application fee of $50. The Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate Medical Cannabis Program shall create application forms regarding an individual being listed on the Medical Cannabis Registry and issuance of a medical cannabis cards. Any questions on anybody here? Okay.
I'm looking at the code, and the code starts out with 81 dash,
Yeah.
and this is saying an 82-0405. I don't see that in this code.
That's a good, that may, I wonder if they're at 80, that's a good point. Maybe it's supposed to be 81 or
Yeah, maybe
404.
that's a typo there.
Okay, we will make note on that. Yeah, because this is chapter 81, not 82. Okay.
Okay, the general licensing.
Wait,
She
got
done?
one more question. Who's first? Go ahead, Joe.
The amended medical cannabis code, it says it was, enacted on December 22nd. Was there an original law approved?
There was an initial one that was passed. I was absent at the day that one was passed, but there was somebody, I think it was council had hired a consultant or something to write the code, and the code was written, and then it was passed, and I don't know what happened, but then we had, the in-house attorneys, they looked at it again and thought we should make some more changes, and so that's what they amended. I don't know specifically what they were, but I think there's probably more copies.
It's too bad we didn't have that at hand tonight, so we could match it up, or.
I think that, yeah, there was, I don't think it had the code, I don't think it had a lot of, stuff in it, I don't know. But I can look for it and find that for later if you like.
Who drafted this? Who all had input?
Oh, let me see,
And I think you guys, you all, the you kind of put it at a disadvantage because in the past, a proponent was the one that brought a law forward. And so they were available to answer any questions, regarding what they were proposing.
Right.
So I think you're at a disadvantage to try to answer questions. And whoever drafted this, I think should be here to discuss it and, answer the questions and so forth.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Does anybody have any, do you guys have any response for that?
We're the ordinance work group now.
Yeah, okay, so, I don't know, well, but way back when this got started, write this code, to write the cannabis code, and it was written, and if we call for public comment when we did those other public forums on the other codes that were gonna be approved. And I don't know what happened after that, if they took any of those comments into account. Then after that, then council approved that code. I don't know that it went anywhere else after that. But it didn't, as far as I know, I mean, the normal process that we usually go through. And then, and so now it was passed, but I don't know what the rush was on that. And now we're at the regulations, and we, push for that we need to have public input on the regulations, so that's where we're at with this. And hopefully we get a lot of good comments, and hopefully it works so that this at least can go through the rest of the process. Yeah.
I've just been making some notes as far as like typos and things and inconsistencies, so I'm not gonna like bring up each one. I'm just gonna note them on here.
Okay, good.
Whoever is gonna make revisions or whatever,
Okay.
I will give you this copy.
Very good, thank you. Okay, Robin?
For this, requirements to sit on this board, I would like to see more stringent rules. Just because I used to grow up in my backyard does not make me an agricultural expert. I'd like to see degree program people, cultural degrees.
You said a degree program?
Yes. And that's under A1, under the Medical Cannabis Commission.
Yeah, A1, okay.
This background check, how extensive is it? Is it like for 25 years? Is it for 10 years? Is it for, because gaming has 3 different degrees of primary official, gaming, and then just support. So I think a more clarification what Jen's done in her life. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay, exactly what does it,
But how
On
many
system.
businesses has she owned, how many, what kind of
Okay.
background, who did she associate with? Does she know the people that are actually
Well, I
helping
suppose
us?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Because-
question. I mean, a good point too.
I passed the primary official license, but I was only 25 years old, and it went back 25 years. So, I mean, so,
Number 3.2A3,
Uh-huh,
these are relating to control. Other felonies,
okay.
is that?
Well,
something?
probably not, well,
I guess,
I don't know, that's just a question.
I mean, we're doing this for people's input, so do you think if they've had any felony, they shouldn't be on the commission? You know, so that's something we need to say. This just says controlled substance, but if people feel that it shouldn't be any felonies, that could be worded in here and then, take it under consideration when they
well,
address it.
embezzlement would fall under that.
Okay, well, we'll make note of that too. Any felony? Okay. Anybody else have any comments on this section? Okay. Now, this regulations too, I like how you said it, Robin, that brought up how you're going to have more stringent things, because part of this, somewhere in here, it does spell out on how to grow it or where to grow it, because it has to meet certain guidelines for that too. And it's gotta be like in a building.